Wow, hello there, and welcome to another session of Life Lessons with Roman. And in today's session, there was a one true great lesson that I learned a few years ago, and I just wanted to share it with you guys on this channel. And man, this was a really good lesson that I learned. And I remember I used to have this friend. I mean, we're still friends and everything. And this was a few years back, and he had this great relationship, going on for many years. For like 4 or 5 years, he had this girlfriend, and he had this good relationship. And I was keeping touch with bases with him, and once in a while here and there and everything. And then one day I asked them, I said, "Hey man, how's your relationship going? How's everything going?" And then he said, "Honestly, man, the first 2 months of our relationship was the best." And I was like, what do you mean by that? Aren't you guys like really good right now? Everything isn't going well. And he said, it's going good, it's going okay, it's not bad, but the first 2 months was the best part of our relationship. And then I kind of gazed on that, and then I went like, what does this guy mean? First 2 months of the relationship was good, why isn't it good right now? And then I kind of thought about it, and I came up with the conclusion of you are constantly creating or molding your relationships. Now, this could be a husband and wife, this could be boyfriend, girlfriend, this could be son, daughter, mother, daughter, uh, son, um, anything, it doesn't matter, like classmates, friends. I'm just using boyfriend, girlfriend because that's the most infinite, infinite for us, so that's the only one that I'm using right now, but this could be used for any other one of those. So when this guy said this, I kind of I was first initially I was confused. I was like, what do you mean? Like, you guys are 5 years in the relationship. Isn't supposed to your relationship supposed to become better and better as it goes on? But he turned around and said, yeah, it's okay, but the first 2 months in our relationship was our best time. So I kind of figured that I think there was something wrong, or he was doing something wrong, or I don't know what was happening, but this is the conclusion that I got from it, that you are constantly creating or molding your relationships. This could be any type of relationship. It doesn't really necessarily have to be a boyfriend girlfriend relationship. It could be any other type of relationship, father son, like I said, classmates, brother sister. You're constantly molding it, you're constantly creating it. It's not like, okay, for example, I'm using the example of a boyfriend girlfriend. For example, it doesn't matter if you just had your first date last night, if you're 1 week in a relationship, 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, you're engaged, you're married, you have kids. It doesn't matter. All of these you shouldn't look at it as milestones. You should look at it as the process of the relationship. But the relationship is something that you're constantly creating, and you're constantly molding that relationship. It doesn't matter what point in the relationship you've reached. You could be in a point that you're married for 10 years and you have 2 kids, and even at that point you can still mess up the relationship, and you can mess it up really bad. You can mess it up when you're 5 years in the relationship. You can mess it up when you're only 1 month in the relationship, because you're constantly creating that relationship. You're constantly molding that relationship based on your actions, what you say, how you behave, how you value the other person, uh, what your priorities are. Everything comes into place. So this is something that I learned, and I started to understand that it's not about how many years you've been in the relationship. It's not about how infinite, or how many infinite moments, or really good like moments you had in the past, that in your relationship you're still constantly creating that relationship, you're constantly molding that relationship. And it doesn't matter, and I don't it doesn't matter what how good your relationship was last year. It doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be as good this year as it was last year, if you don't do the right things, if you don't uh, or if you don't have the right mindset about it, if you don't behave right, or if you don't conduct it right, or do the right things with it. It's not a guarantee. So this is something that I learned, that you are constantly creating, you're constantly molding your relationships. It doesn't matter what stage is it in. You know, I've 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 heard, like, old, like, people in their 70s, 80s, how they start fighting and everything. Sometimes, like, hey, like, sometimes people get old, it's understandable, but that just like an indicator that you're constantly molding your relationships. So this is the lesson that I learned, and it was one of the significant and one of the biggest lessons that I learned in my life. Because this is a major one, and it's a vital one too, because if you don't understand, if you don't get this, that you're constantly creating, you're constantly molding your relationship. It doesn't matter what stage you are, you can mess it up at any stage. It doesn't matter, you're 5 months in the relationship, 10 years, you're already married, you have kids, you can mess up the entire relationship at any stage. It doesn't really matter. So this is something that I learned, and this is something of really valuable lesson. So always keep a check on your relationship. Always create it in the best way possible. Do your absolute best. It doesn't matter what stage. Don't get all too, because there's no confident about, oh, I'm like 5 years in the relationship. Oh, somebody says, well, if you make it to 5 years, if you get married, then everything goes to autopilot. Everything is like a smooth sail. No, you have to still constantly create. You have to constantly mold that relationship. It's an endless game. You know what I mean? Even to the last day of your life. So this is something that I learned, and I think it's something that is very valuable. It's not something that has been not something that people are talking about nowadays a lot. They're just more talking about the intimacy and the good things about the relationship, but they're not talking about the relationship is something that needs to be consistent, and you're constantly creating it. So this is something that I learned, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I hope this will help a lot of you guys out there. I mean, if you like the message, if you like what you're hearing, hit me a subscribe, or hit a thumbs up. Post a comment. I will try to reply and respond to your comments as much as I can. Tell a friend about this page if you like it. And yeah, I mean, major lesson. And also